Good. Hi Booktube, I'm Kish. I'm new here. Since I'm new here, I am going to be doing the Booktube Newbie Tag. Since that, well, I'm new. I'm a newbie, so let's start, shall we? The first question here is, why did you start this channel? Well, I love reading, I love talking about books, and I can't really talk to anyone about the books that I love that much, so I decided why not talk to a camera. I mean, why not talk to you guys if someone's watching anyway. But yeah, aside from that, I'm broke. Second question, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? I don't really know how to answer that, but I think I'm not like other girls. I'm Filipino, I'm Asian. My ideas, content ideas that I think are quite unique and quite different. What are you most excited for about this new channel? Well, I'm excited about meeting new people who loves books as much as I do. But yeah, talking about books, editing my videos of me talking about books and posting them and sharing them to you guys. Fourth question is, why do you love reading? I love reading because I can escape reality. That's mostly the reason. That's everyone's reason. I want to escape my reality because my life's pretty mundane. It's really ordinary, and I want to live a life with magic. I love to live a dangerous, magical life, and that's not my reality. So instead, I would read books with dragons and wizards and witches and vampires and werewolves. That's a life that I would want to have, but that's my reality. So instead, I would read books to sort of experience it. And aside from that, it teaches me things. Like, for example, Rick Riordan's books based on mythologies, Norse, Greek, Roman, Egyptian. I learned Greek mythology because I read his books. I learned Egyptian mythology because of his books, and it made me like curious. It made me want to know more about mythology. Like, that's why I enjoy history lessons in school. It's like, it's my moment. Like, if our lesson was about Greek mythology or Egyptian mythology, we'd talk about the pyramids. Like, it's my time to shine. I would be Hermione Granger. I would keep on like putting my, like, I would keep on like that. What do you call that? I would keep on raising my hands because I would know the answer because of reading those books. Next question, what book or series got you into reading? What made me appreciate reading is Geronimo Stilton, The Cat and the Mouse in a Haunted House. Wait, I get my copy of it. So this is the book that that made me appreciate reading. My grandmother was cleaning her room and she saw this and she gave it to me and told me to read it. And at first I was like, So I tried reading it, and this book intrigued me because it's sort of like horror comedy for me, and I really loved it. And I enjoyed the illustrations. There are a lot of illustrations in it, and I really loved it. Like, look at that. Can you see it? And this copy is so old. Like, look at that. It's broken. See? It's really old. It hurts my heart, but I really love this. But the book that really got me into reading, because Geronimo Stilton, I love this, but it didn't really get me into reading. It just made me appreciate it, and I swore to myself that I would only read books with illustration, and I would only read books of Geronimo Stilton. I would only read Geronimo Stilton's books and nothing else. That's like that's what I swore to myself when I was a kid. But the book that really got me into reading, a book that made me fall in love with reading, is the Percy Jackson series. Like this book. Now my copies are really old, but I just love this book. Like at first, I sort of have like an enemies to lovers relationship with this book, because every time we go to the mall, I would go to the bookstore. I would just look at the Harry Potter shelf, and every time I noticed that Percy Jackson is always beside Harry Potter, and I'd be annoyed. Like, Harry Potter deserved to have its own shelf. Like, I'd be annoyed, like, what is Percy Jackson doing there? Like, who is Percy Jackson? So lame. Like, I just hated this book. Like, I'm so loyal to Harry Potter that I hated this book because it's beside the Harry Potter collection, and I bought the first book. And I absolutely loved it. This book is about how many pages is this? It's about 400 pages, and I finished this in like 3 days because I just can't put this down. I was surprised at myself that I read this book, because this book do not have illustrations like Geronimo Stilton. The next question is, what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? What questions would I like to ask my favorite booktubers? How do you get more views? Just straight on to the point. How are you? What tips or advice would you give to a booktube newbie like me? That's it. Yeah, that's a nice question, I think. Next question, what challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Probably, yeah, the views. Again, the views. I mean, if I'm sharing my thoughts and no one's like watching, no one's listening, that will be like, that's quite sad. And other than that, I think editing is quite stressful, to be honest. And also having new, fresh, and creative content. Now that's hard. You really need to think of a very unique and creative and fresh content so that people will be intrigued by your videos, and that's hard. Next question is, when did you start reading? I started reading when I was 8. Before I fell in love with reading, I really hated reading. Like, reading's like a waste of time to me back then. Like, this thick of a book, like, I predicted myself if I tried reading a book this thin, I think it would take me 3 years to finish it. That's how I predicted back then when I was like 7 or 8. Yeah, but I started reading, I started reading when I was 9. Yeah, when I was 9. I started reading and I fell in love with reading. Yeah, and I'm really happy. It's really nice that I started at a young age. I remember when I was like 9, I would have dreams about Harry Potter. I would have dreams about Harry Potter or riding Blackjack, Percy Jackson's horse. Yeah, since 9 until now, I'm still reading. I'm still very much in love with reading. Next question is, where do you read? Where do I read? I read on this table, but mostly I read on the bed. I don't know, every time I'm reading, it's like I'm somewhere else, and I wouldn't be aware of my surroundings. Yeah, every time I'm reading, I just won't be aware of my surroundings anymore. That's why every time I'm reading and then someone, like my parents, calls me, I get like jumpy. So yeah, but I'm pretty sure that I mostly read on my bed. I just prefer reading comfortably and with my pillows and blankets. Yeah, I read in my bed. Yeah. Next question. What kind of books do you like to read? I like reading fantasy. I mean, that's the point of me reading, is to enter like a magical fantasy world. So yeah, I mostly read fantasy books. Sometimes I would read contemporaries. I really love reading fantasy, YA fantasy. What does your book collection look like? Oh my god. I will show you some pictures. There. Yeah, those are my book collections. Though that's how my book collection look like. I haven't cleaned yet. I plan on reorganizing. I plan on filming myself reorganizing my bookshelves. But yeah, it's not good. It looks horrible. It looks unorganized. It just does. This one looks pleasant. So that's all. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, you should support me. You should definitely support me. You should subscribe right now. Just subscribe and like this video and maybe share it with your friends. Yeah. Bye humans. Bye fellow bookworms.